important concepts in Loquiz are the pins. So every task has a pin, and when you go to see the games, then the pins are used in different places. So for example, they are used on a map, of course. So when you are creating a game that uses a map, then pin is displayed on a map. The pins are also used on playgrounds. So if you're creating playgrounds and you are assigning tasks to the playgrounds, then the same pin is used. And the pin is also used in a list even. So if you just show stuff in a list, then the pin is also shown there. And the question I get very often is that where do you get those pins and how do you use them in Loquiz? And to get the pins, there are mainly three options. The first one is that if you are working together with a designer, then she would know how to create those pins and how to export those pins and how to utilize those pins outside of, in different programs. If you don't have a designer, then the second option is that you can actually download some of the pins from the internet as well. There are kind of free or paid icon packs available that you can use and maybe edit or just import them into the Loquiz and use them as such. But please pay attention to the license as well, because the artwork is often licensed, so make sure that you're not stealing anybody's work. And the third option is that you create your pins yourself. And very often this is actually needed because in the game the pin might be communicating something, so you can't use default pins, you want to use something special. And when I need to create the pins, I'm usually using the program called Inkscape. Inkscape is a vector drawing program. It's available for the Windows, Mac and Linux computers. And it's quite nice. It's also open source and it is free to use therefore. So if you have not checked out the Inkscape, check it out. And I will show you my workflow in Inkscape, how to create a very basic pin. So now I have the Inkscape open. I have a new document open and let's try to create a very basic pin. So I like to start with the Bezier tool. I choose the Bezier tool. I click on a workspace and I go straight down. In order to lock it straight down, I click on the Control key on the keyboard as well at the same time. And I click so it's straight down. And then I go straight up again and finish with the upper node. So now we have a line that is coming down, but it's actually also going up. So I go to Edit Nodes tool, I choose the uppermost node, and I make the nodes symmetric. So now when I keep down the Shift key and I take it out from there, you can see that I have symmetric nodes moving out. And if I want to lock them to the axis as well, I also keep the Control key clicked. So then we have perfectly symmetrical pin that we can create. So I release everything, I go to the select tool, and this is the pin shape that we have. So I will make it red, and also I want to get rid of the line around the object. So I keep the Shift key clicked, and I will go and click on the none. So that takes the stroke away from there. So what I want to do now is that I want to cut out the upper part. And for that, I will create a perfect circle. I use the circle tool. And in order to lock it, I will keep down the Control key so that it will be perfect circle there. I will go to the select tool and I will give it a green color. So now we have a green color circle that I can move actually onto the pin here. So what I will do next is that I will give some transparency to the green color. And for that I go to the Edit Objects Colors tool, and that opens kind of a pane here as well. And I will give it a little bit of opacity, so it just move it opacity slider down, so just for technical reasons that I can see what is happening behind it. And the next thing I want to do is that I want to align them vertically, so I will select one, I will keep down the Shift, select two, so they're both selected at the same time. And I will go to the Align tool, and this is that tool here. And when you click that, then it opens it on the right. And I will click on the vertically align button so that it aligns both things vertically. Okay, so we have kind of a pin that has some vertical alignment. So what I want to do now is that I want to actually make this circle a little bit larger. So I select the circle and I keep Shift and Control clicked so that it's scaling it from the middle point, and it's scaling it keeping the proportions. So I want to make it probably something like that. So next thing, I select the circle and I will duplicate it by clicking Ctrl D, and that creates a second circle there. I will give it a color blue, and now I want to make it a little bit smaller. So then again, I select the blue circle, I will keep Shift and Ctrl clicked, and I will move it in a little bit so that we have kind of like that. So that would be the bin shape. Now we'll finalize it so that we use the green circle to cut the red pin, and then we will use the blue circle to actually add to the pin. So I will select the red pin, and I will keep Shift clicked and also click on the green circle, go to the path and difference, and you see that it was cut out and the green circle disappeared from our screen. Now I want to make the blue circle the same color as the red is, and I can also click on the red because I know at the moment that the red is red, but if it's not very exact color, I can use the color tool, pick a color, and for that I just choose the blue circle, pick color tool, go to the red, and it's the same color. Now you see that it's a little bit lighter, and the reason for that is that it actually has some transparency. So I go back to the fill and stroke tool, and I will get rid of the transparency. So that is the pin we have created, and this is the pin we can then use in our games. Now in order to export it, I will just shift click both of them so they are both selected, and just to make it easier, I will group them so that they will act like one object here. And now we will export this object, and to export it I will go to the file, the export PNG image, and again it opens me a tool here. So I can use different export areas like page, but at the moment I'm just going to want to export this selection, and the selection is only 55 pixels across when it gets exported. So for the map it might be okay in Loquiz, but if you also want to use it on the playground, it should be probably a little bit bigger. So I will give it a width of 200 pixels, and that will give us automatic height of 351. Now, as said, we don't need to do anything here with a vector because we don't need to scale it actually. It will provide us the image width and height that we want. And I will export it to the my downloads folder so that we can find it easily afterwards. Now we have created our custom pin, and let's go to the tasks. Let's open the question where we want to change the pin. We go to the additional settings, we get rid of our default icon, and we just click on new custom pin. So we give it a name. Let's give it a name custom 2, and we upload the pin we just created, and this is that one, like an ice cone. And there's one thing that we need to do with that is that we need to give it a anchor, and the anchor is that actually if you add the pin to the map, for example, then what is the place that marks the spot? And you know, with these pins that are used on the maps, it's usually the downmost center. So this is what I mark here. I create the icon, and now I just save the changes for the task. And now let's also check how it appears in our game. So we have actually one game prepared that has this task in. So we open the game for editing. We go to the tasks. You can see that it has actually changed the pin here. We go to the rules, and you can say that we have a map pin that is now our ice cone. And also if you go to the playground, you can see that it's on the playground as well. And that was the reason that we made it a little bit bigger, because we can scale it down or up on the playground. So in order to actually use the correct size for the playgrounds as well. And this is how you make custom pins. Thanks.